musical style of Eli Martin III, a.k.a. the Clinician. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, sir. Thank you for having me on the show.
Talk to us a little bit about your music.
Yeah, so basically, my style, I feel, is a little bit unorthodox. I incorporate a little bit of hip-hop, a little bit of poetry or spoken words, most may call it, and I call it hip poetry, encompassing the new rhythm dynamic over hip-hop beats and soul, jazz, and alternative music.
Okay, well, we want to know a little bit more about you. What really got you started into this whole hip-hop or hip poetry aspect of your music?
Well, basically, music has been in my life ever since I was born. I mean, I remember a time where I couldn't even listen to hip-hop. Like, I used to always have to listen. I grew up on Marvin Gaye, Temptations, the Supremes, as a result of my parents. I always had an eclectic sense, of soul music. As I got older, my sisters, they were really into hip-hop, so we used to sneak in the back and listen to, like, Biggie or Tupac or Souls of Mischief and just vibe out. As a result, I started writing at the age of 7, and then, I just kept doing it. People was like, man, you're really good. So I was getting that positive reinforcement. And then when I moved here to Atlanta, it was a wrap. It was just like a huge music hub and a huge movement for what I was doing. So it really motivated me. I felt like I had a message to give out.
So the hip-hop community is basically about getting a message out.
Exactly.
We hosted a young lady here not too long ago named Yanni. Are you familiar with her music? Yanni and the Peace People?
I am not familiar with that.
Okay. And she was saying basically the same thing, is
Okay.
that her message is a little different from the standard hip-hop.
Right.
And it's a little more than the poetry, than the standard poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And she puts a creative beat beside it using the same kinds of genres that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is a new movement.
Mm.
Okay? You started out by saying, I think my style is unorthodox.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it going to be hard to put it in a genre? Radio stations need a genre to play. You know what I'm saying?
Is it that they need a genre, or is it that that's the structure?
That's the structure, right? How do you break through the structure then?
I feel that we need to be more organic. I mean, music shouldn't have a structure per se. I remember I was watching an interview with Mos Def and Talib Kweli, and they were actually refuting being labeled as conscious artists. Why can't it just be good music? Why can't it just be something, like you said, with a message that this particular artist has to say, and they just want to get it out,
Well, let me go back to that, because if you go back to our late 60s, early 70s, during the hippie movement,
mm-hmm.
and right after the Black Panther movement, we were looking for a message that was conscious-oriented. War, for instance. Did you see them the other day, this morning?
No, I didn't see it this morning.
War, their sound is back to the Gil Scott-Heron.
That's Gil Scott-Heron. That's
the music with the beat, And so I think that there is an element, maybe it's our baby boomers,
mm-hmm.
that still like that consciousness in the words and the way that it's being delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Because in our early years, we had Gil Scott-Heron
mm-hmm.
and the poets and those guys.
The last poets.
Yeah, the last poets. And now we have this young crew coming behind them, picking up on that vibe. I like it.
Some are, but then, I think his issue is what we call unorthodox. Maybe he's not the mainstream. I think that's what the word is, mainstream. Because,
and I'm with it. I'm with him on that. How do we break
how do we break that? About bling bling and
how do we
sling and
how do we just get the radio stations to play that kind of music?
Look at Outkast. Yeah. There was a time where like a more northern artists were getting played during that time that they came out, with the Dungeon Family, and they were considered different, or they didn't fit a genre.
Yeah,
we could look at a Prince or Michael Jackson, who you really couldn't categorize per se.
Or the Roots.
Or the Roots.
You know?
But what did they do? They created their own lane, right? And then it became the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right. Well, but it's always, you're going to suffer a little bit out there. You understand? You're going to be hungry for a little while. You understand?
Yeah.
Because realizing that you're being unorthodox is going to be a situation that the mainstream is not going to gravitate toward you in the beginning. Or the radio station mainstream, that's what I'm talking about. So when you speak about Outkast, because I am from Atlanta, so they had to get a little bit more commercialized in order to
well, there's a have to and a want to,
mm-hmm.
and I think that the listening audience, I think that these guys who are coming up in whatever genre they are, kind of know who their audience is,
mm-hmm.
and like my thing is business and entrepreneurship, and you want to grow to who you are.
Exactly.
You know, you don't want to try to be somebody else if you're not ready to be there yet. So you want to grow to who you are within that genre and find your audience. It's going to be up to us to push the envelope for them to say, hey, open your ears up, open your eyes. This is something we want to hear.
But the only way we're gonna push the envelope is we gotta purchase the items.
We gotta purchase.
This is where it comes in. See, this is where the rubber meets the road. Because the reality is, he can have all the great conscious rap, or however you want to categorize him. If he ain't getting the funds and we're not out there supporting him, it becomes someone that just has some.
So
some
that's
good
another
music.
question. You know, would you be doing this if you weren't gonna get paid for it?
I do it for the love of music. I would be lying if I said I didn't want to make a profit off of it. You know, granted, you know, because I do want to continue making great music.
Sure.
You know, but at the same time, you know, it's not all about money. The main thing is reach one, teach one. You know, if I can change somebody's life by listening to a mellow or, you know, a smarten up type of track. I have a track in their title called Smarten Up. You know, as opposed to the dumb it down mentality that, you know, some you know, music industry seem to want to reinforce nowadays, then I've done my job. Yeah. Would I like to profit? Of course. Sure. And it can be done. Tech Nine, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an independent artist who actually, you know, is well known in the hip hop community, but has garnered his own distribution company, distribution label, and is well on par. You know,
Clinician, I want you to understand. Eugene's like 78, and I think Don like 88.
Oh, okay.
Okay. About
Look,
Tech Nine.
I mean, Tech Nine is 43.
Okay, well,
I mean, he's Tech Nine is like 43, so I mean, he's on a check.
I'm the baby around here.
You're the baby, okay.
At 28 years old.
Yeah, right. So Tech Nine, you know, we think that. I don't know if you're talking about a gun.
No, he's a hip hop artist.
That's the only thing I think about is Tech Nine.
He's garnered a huge independent following. Oh, okay, well, even like with the younger people that you're seeing now, like the Mac Millers or Kendrick Lamar. I don't know if you're familiar with
Lamar.
Okay, he started off as an independent artist, and he created his own niche, you know, with the Black Hippie movement, and he actually got Dr. Dre to come down and sign him because his movement was so big, and he had that following. He had that following.
So that you now. The mediums that you guys have now is much different than they had 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Better.
You're talking about the YouTubes and, you know, getting those hits and, you know, how are you pushing your music in that genre? Do you have a situation or a page where people can go to and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I actually do. You can actually look me up on YouTube. I have 3 videos, Smarten Up, one called Sunrise and another called Senseless Stories, to promote the album. I also have a Reverb Nation page. www.reverbnation.com/The Clinician. That's TheCliniCian. And you can look up all my music on that webpage as well. And I also have a Facebook.
Don, we gonna get a cut of this?
Oh yeah,
okay. Just want to make sure.
Okay.
I'm your businessman. Make sure we get a cut of this money.
We're
promoting over here. I'm sorry, Eugene. I know that's your job, but I'm gonna let him know right now. I'm trying to get some of this money.
The thing is that, you know, we applaud your industriousness, okay, and from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I applaud everything except your desire to make money in the entrepreneur arena. You know, I think that to do this is marvelous. Okay, it's very altruistic, but if it's not your bread and butter, you know, then I think that you need to do something while you try to make this your bread and butter.
Oh,
you know, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you got to be about trying to close the deal and make the dollar and get the word out, market it as best you can to that audience, to your audience,
right.
You know, and your audience is going to grow.
Right.
So I just think that's where it should go.
I think the passion, though.
Yeah.
Passion. Don't you got your passion? You know, then your money's gonna come.
Well, yeah, and I do.
Your name as a clinician. Explain to them why you call yourself a clinician.
Okay, well, I do call myself the clinician because I'm actually a clinician. Clinician is a mental health therapist.
Okay.
So I'm actually working in the mental health field, and it's interesting you should say that. You know,
a lot of
put all your things.
A lot of subject matter.
Yeah, because I do have my master's degree in community mental health counseling.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I do have a master's degree in community mental health counseling, and I actually. I was on Miller on the Mic recently for promoting an event with Tavis Smiley with a nonprofit we have called Project Smarten Up.
Okay.
So I agree that you can be educated and be an artist and, you know, learn the entrepreneur